Hello, how are you? I somewhat washed my hair, got ready. I had an interview today, so hopefully I'm taking this opportunity, 2 for 1, to do a video catch up of myself, and I'm in my mom and dad's, and so it was my birthday yesterday, so that was super fun. 43, what? 43, so old, a few gray hairs, but anyways, I wanted to get on here and talk about part 2 of my book reading of raising worry-free girls and my life in general. Didn't you needed a Brain to Cafe update, right? So here it is. I am working my way through this, and this is an incredible book, and my thinking is that that if you don't get this book and read it, which you should, that you can watch these videos and kind of glean some things from them. I kind of talked about worry versus anxiety the first video, and so this video is kind of talking about chapter 2 of why her, and number 3, how will this help. And so I guess the thing I wanted to say too is that we never get to, I've been talking about my worry and anxiety over being a parent, and so this kind of talks about the most important therapy, and that is you as the parent, me as the parent. And it kind of highlights that in her book of that worry and anxiety definitely probably are family related, but then they're also learned. So it's kind of like a gut check of that our little ones are watching us, and how we're dealing with some strife in our life and what that looks like for them. And so it's just kind of put the weight of how I'm dealing with things, and how my little one is watching that of me and dealing with that. It talks mainly about how worry is definitely a problem amongst little girls, and we're just in a new age of where that is something that they're doing, is struggling with worry and anxiety, that is very common, and that if you're not already in the trenches of dealing that with your children, then you might be, so be prepared. My best friend Jenny just said something yesterday about teaching your kids. She gave me some resources on internet safety and good pictures, bad pictures, and how to prepare your kid. And she said she heard a talk and someone saying, you don't teach your kid about not running out in front of the street when they're in the street, right? You work ahead in teaching some of those things. So if you could think about that and just being prepared for if your child or your daughter comes about in worrying, what that would look like for you. Because one thing too I gleaned from this chapter 2 and 3 of not only me patterning, me being good examples for how to deal with worry, so that she sees that and how I deal with it, but it talks about here in perspective, and you know me, I'm super dramatic, more in like the be funny way of being dramatic, but it talks about, in our world today of drama, of just putting perspective on things for our kids, that is this a word, like she gives us, Sissy does a great job in this and helps kids write a little kind of worry thermometer on where you're at in the worry, 1 to 10. And so she said in the book, it was very eye-opening on giving kids good perspective. That sometimes in the dramatic world of ourselves or our kids, that when we put it in perspective, like kidnapping, like if you have a fear of being kidnapped, is that a 10 or 1? And putting that on, just having a bad day of friends talking bad about you, where is that on the perspective scale? She said that girls tend in the stress of their minds and developing and trying to deal with worry and anxiety, they tend to put things that maybe are 10s things that are maybe 1s at the 10. Everything's a 10. So Sissy does a great job in talking about making sure that you set the perspective for our little ones, like that, tone it down, Brandy, on the drama, don't be so over the top about things, that put them in perspective so that it gives value to the things that are super heavy. And then it kind of gives workable, like, hey, this is just a 1. You can handle the 1s. When you can handle the 1s, you can handle the 2s. And it's kind of like when I teach kids how to swim. I'm like, if you learn how to swim in the deep end, it doesn't matter if you learn how to swim, it doesn't matter how deep the water is, because you know how to swim. So it's trying to put that in the mind of learning how to deal with the one thing, learning how to swim, learning how to deal with stress, so that you can handle and put in perspective the 1s and the 10s on the stress meter. So that was huge. I love that part of the book. And then that was talking about the second chapter, and then chapter 3 was how will this help. It just gives great practical things for parents to be doing on how to help deal with worry, how to get them help, to even put help in perspective for them. I've talked about our generation is like, if you've got problems, you get help, maybe our parents aren't so much that way. We can deal with it. Maybe you're that way of, I don't want to deal with it. Even, I've been burned recently, and I've heard horror stories of people reaching out for help, and, they're other people who shouldn't know about it find out about it. And even in my case of when I was kind of writing out my frustrations and journaling or reporting some of the issues I was having and the struggles I was having, I felt like that was used against me in the end. And so I think there is a legitimate fear of when we ask for help, or in the prayer circles that become gossip circles. That's so hard, to be honest and vulnerable with people, but then to also protect and guard your heart. That's a hard balance. And so I think she does a good job of kind of helping you know when to get help, when you can kind of beef up your own, how to deal with it. Sissy's really great in that, in working through that, and using your resources too. And then on the getting help and resources, it's just a hard call. You really have to trust the Lord, because you will get hurt in asking for help. And it's like a low blow when you're already struggling and you're reaching out for help, and then you get the other punch of being shamed into it. We're all going into this time where you're going to be shamed if you bring your kid to the grocery store, or you're not wearing a mask, or you're even leaving your house after 6 weeks. Everyone has an opinion, and everyone has the way you're supposed to be doing it. So to have a little more grace in your heart on dealing both sides, on the giving grace and the receiving grace. I know that's what we're getting into, but so that's a very quick 10-minute synopsis of chapter 2 and 3, what I gleaned. I cannot wait to do another one on the next section of this, of the actual practical help sessions, and I'll be able to just give you a few little gleams of brandy wisdom from Sissy's book. But I hope you're doing okay. Hope you're not stressing out. And I hope you're getting help where you can get help. Reach out to friends and family, and know that the Lord is that He's told us we are going to have struggles, but He's overcome those struggles. I have that verse for you, but I left it at home, and I'm at my parents', and I had this minute to record this video, so I had it written down, and I don't have it. But I do want to give you some verses on grace, too. I didn't know about grace till I became a parent. Oh, the grace. His grace is sufficient for me. So I wanted to just leave you with this verse. Romans 3:24. His grace freely makes us right in His sight. Thank you, Lord, for grace. That is just grace upon grace, and just such a blessing in our life. And so here's to more grace-filled people in your life. Give yourself some grace. I'm so hard on myself. That's been a challenge, to live in the Lord's grace and accept His grace more. So hope you're doing okay. I hope you can hear this. I did this because I had eye trouble. If you've been following my story, so it's on the mend. Thank you. Oh, thank you, Lord. So, just crazy life. All right. Talk to you later. Thanks for listening.